Let's get into corporate voice then, and we've got Ameera Shah, promoter and managing director at Metropolis Healthcare, joining us on the show to talk about the diagnostics industry, how things are shaping up for the company, as well as what the outlook is when it comes to their organic growth plans. Good to have you on board as always, Ameera. Let's just begin by talking about the pricing pressure in the industry. Have you seen some sort of a moderation? And if that's the case, then is that allowing you to take some price hikes?
So actually, I think this pricing pressure, we have to understand diagnostics is actually happening in many sub-segments. So traditionally, we've been in the illness part, which is actually 95% of the market, where people fall sick, they need accurate reports, they go by their recommendation of their doctor, and they go to labs that the doctor is comfortable with and get their tests done. And we've been operating mostly in that space. I think the pricing pressure is seen much more on the wellness space, where the consumer is making the decision directly and actually is not able to tell the difference between good quality, bad quality, good service, bad poor service, and assumes that all tests give the same result. And that's where really you're seeing more of a pricing pressure happening. And we're not really seeing it on the illness side.
But can I safely say the kind of margins what the diagnostic industry enjoyed, let's say at the peak of COVID, that's not going to come back in a hurry?
That was never the case anyway, because pre-COVID, if you look at it, the margins were in the range of 25 to 27% EBITDA. And everybody knew that during COVID, the kind of volumes that came in at one time into existing infrastructure obviously gave a higher margin, which nobody expected to sustain. So therefore, I think comparing to that at all would be inappropriate.
So if you have to compare the business, let's say pre-COVID and now, what are the three things which have changed and what are the three things which have not changed?
I would say the biggest thing that's changed is a consumerization of healthcare. Technology didn't play any role in healthcare pre-COVID at all. People wanted only physical reports. Doctors were only comfortable physical, paper reports, even though some of us tried to actually use, let's say, email reports or WhatsApp reports or any other channel. But that people were comfortable with it. And that has been, I would say, a big change, where now technology is needed as a much bigger part of what the consumer experiences. So that definitely is one change. I would say the second change is that this whole category of wellness has got developed. Earlier, the consumer was really not making a decision about their healthcare in any proactive way. It was more reactive, like I said, linked to illness. Now you are seeing consumers saying, look, once a year I want to do a checkup and I want to sort of have a checkbox that, look, everything is fine in my body. That again is a big change that we've seen sort of happening during this period. And I would say third, government has gotten far more involved in healthcare from a perspective that they feel that not only do they want to take healthcare services to all the people across India, but they also want to create a digital stack that enables the industry to actually provide that kind of data to consumers that's across companies, across sectors, whether it's hospitals, diagnostics, pharma, insurance. And that way the consumer will get a holistic view of their own healthcare. So I would say these are the three biggest changes. I would say the thing that has not changed is that this assumption that now everything is linked to price. Actually, that's not the case. When you're sick, you're far more concerned about getting the correct diagnosis for your report, because based on that, your doctor is going to make the right treatment. And that was always the case pre-COVID, and it continues to be the case now. So a lot of the players who are coming up just using price as an entry strategy are going to have a hard time sustaining unless the quality really lives up to it.
So what should your shareholders expect now? Is Metropolis committed to be niche but a higher margin franchise because your margins are one of the best in the industry? Is that what you'll be focusing on, or you are also being forced to go mass and add size and scale?
We've never really been niche, I would say, because we are the second largest player in the country. So we couldn't have been the second largest if we were so niche. I think we cater to every single possible test globally that you need in India. We do about 4,000 varieties of tests. So every customer who needs anything finds it with Metropolis, right? So it's definitely not niche. It's definitely, catering to every customer who needs it. I would say we are niche from the perspective that, we know that our quality is really our biggest differentiator. And therefore, a Metropolis customer, whether a doctor or a consumer, is somebody who genuinely cares for their health and will value that more than anything else.
Going Going forward, what would be your outlook in terms of the efforts that have been taken towards doctor and patient outreach? How do you think that this will help the specialized test volume growth as well going down the line?
I think we've always engaged with doctors very scientifically. We've always done lots of medical education programs to build awareness on the new tests we're bringing in, on the existing tests in the menu, and how doctors can finally diagnose patients better. Look, at the end of the day, you only have as much value in healthcare as finally you're able to help the patient. And we see ourselves as partners with the doctor to be able to really help diagnose the patient correctly so the doctor can treat the patient correctly. And the patient can finally get better. So that's our mission really in healthcare. And we continue to work with doctors to see how we can accomplish that more and more, whether it's through new tests, whether it's new technologies, better quality technologies to diagnose existing diseases. I'll give you a simple example. There used to be a time when, for example, just something simple as heart, you could only use a lipid profile or a cholesterol to diagnose. Now today there are something like 100 or 200 cardiac markers. Depending on what your situation is, the doctor can actually has a choice to use any of these 200 to figure out what's going on with you. Now, how do you bring that awareness to market, bring those technologies, and really be able to give precise results, which are very consistent across the 4,000 tests, across the 250 cities that we operate in, is really the moat of the business. Because people think, if it's 98%, 99% accurate, it's okay. But if you're the recipient of that, 99% is also not enough, because you need actually a 99.9900% accurate.
Pretty interesting. And what about the high competition that had been flagged off earlier in the semi-specialized test segment? I think that was about 31% of the non-COVID Q3 FY23 revenues. What is the game plan in place, or has the competition eased, or has the company really working against it?
I think competition continues to be definitely there. We've seen obviously lots of players jump into this market thinking, this is a great business and the margins are high, and why wouldn't anybody be able to succeed? And I think some of them are already beginning to realize that actually it looks much easier from the outside. But there is, of course, pricing pressure in the semi-specialized space, in specifically, I would say 30 to 40 tests. So, our reaction to it again is, that obviously we will, fight in the market, but at the end of the day, we're not going to compromise our quality, in any way to be able to give better prices to people, because, accuracy for us is the ultimate USP, while it may or may not be for others. So we continue to stick to our guns and our mission of what we're trying to do. And we believe in the long run, your brand and what you stand for is really what's going to pay off.
All right. Thank you so much, Ameera, for joining in and giving us a glimpse as to how business is shaping up and what the outlook is when it comes to Metropolis Health.